Hello and welcome to My Security TV. My name's Chris Cubbage and we're at AusCERT 2012, an information security conference here on the Gold Coast. I'm with Kieran O'Shaughnessy, Sales Director for the Asia Pacific region for Accellion. Kieran, thanks for joining me.
Hi Chris, pleasure to be here.
Kieran, let's start off talking about bring your own devices, BYOD, and the consumerisation of IT. Where do you see it in terms of Accellion and the key trends that you're seeing?
Sure. So what we're seeing in the space is that organisations are looking to support their users by increasingly allowing them to be choosing their own devices, bringing their own devices into the organisation, which is quite different to the traditional IT model where organisations provided a desktop or a laptop or a mobile phone. But that presents some real challenges for organisations because the types of devices that are driving these trends, like iPads for example, were never designed as enterprise tools. So they present challenges to corporate IT in securing the devices, in managing the devices, and ensuring that they don't become a vector for data breach in the organisation.
And Accellion, in terms of the security services and products that you're providing, what is your point of difference in terms of helping enterprises accept BYOD practices?
Absolutely. So what Accellion does is provide organisations with a way for mobile users to securely share data, get access to corporate data on those mobile devices. One of the big challenges, particularly with the iPad, is that you can't get access to a file system, so you need to be sourcing those documents from somewhere else. And for consumers, they typically use the free public file sharing services. For organisations, that's fraught with danger, fraught with risk around data loss. If organisations' users are uploading corporate data to services like Dropbox or other public file sharing services. So Accellion provides an enterprise class alternative, if you like, where the data stays within the organisation's environment and there's all the compliance and management and control around it that you'd expect for enterprise data.
So is it like a public file sharing system for an enterprise? Is this?
It's absolutely, that's a good way to look at it. One of the differences, I guess, from the primarily public cloud consumer-grade file sharing services that are out there today is that Accellion gives users the option, or organisations the option, to deploy on-premise in their existing IT infrastructure or in the public cloud, or a combination of the two, a hybrid cloud deployment. So that flexibility is quite different to the consumer-grade services that are out there.
And so what does Accellion actually do in terms of what is it actually providing?
So it's providing a secure container to hold your files on the iPad or Android device or BlackBerry, for example. It's also providing a collaboration environment on the back end where you can share files with internal and external users, either on your mobile device or on a PC, web-enabled PC.
Is it much like going into the cloud? Is this generally what you may consider it to be?
Well, absolutely. Accellion is a cloud solution. We're public cloud, so we have a service that's hosted out of the Amazon EC2 data centers around the world, where that's a fully hosted service. We also have private cloud, solution that can be deployed inside the customer's existing data center, or a combination of the two, and the new expression is hybrid cloud, where some data may reside on-premise in the private cloud, where other data can be allowed to go out into the public cloud.
Accellion, you're providing file sharing services. What is your key point of difference in terms of, say, a public file sharing system like Dropbox?
Sure. Well, one of the fundamental differences is the ability to deploy on-premise, in the public cloud, or a combination of the two. Secondly, you have control of your data. The organisation has control of the data. Services like Dropbox, as many people maybe are not aware, but when you sign up for a service like Dropbox, you have to actually give that service provider access to your data, which is fine if you're happy with that as a consumer, but for a corporate organisation, for a government organisation, there are all sorts of issues with, confidentiality, sensitivity of data, privacy regulations that kick in there.
In terms of privacy, compliance and risk, what are you seeing in terms of the enterprises and the reason that they're coming to Accellion? What do you see the main driver of your services for? What are the main driver that's bringing customers to you?
Absolutely. Well, I'd say that the first driver is this whole BYOD mobility trend that we're seeing. So that is creating a point of change or disruption in the IT landscape, if you like. So organisations are having to find secure ways to enable and empower their users to make best use of these mobile devices. And they know, increasingly, if they don't provide an enterprise solution, that their users will be using the consumer-grade services that they use at home for their own, photo sharing or document sharing with friends and family. And clearly there are, data loss risks associated with those services. So very much mobility is the big one. Also the richness and volume of data that organisations are dealing with today. How do we move around files that are larger than 10 meg if we need to share those with external parties? We can't email them. So if we don't provide, again, an enterprise class solution, users will go and upload them to Dropbox or upload them to their Gmail email account. And again, we have no visibility or control over who gets access to that data.
You cover the Asia Pacific. Is there any key countries that you see as really quite strong in the uptake of cloud enterprise file sharing services?
Sure. Well, certainly Australia in the region is the leading, the most mature in this space, certainly. New Zealand as well. I guess I'd group Australia and New Zealand together. Then it really varies across. Asia is while it's one region, it's a multitude of countries, and their maturity in this space is quite different. Certainly Singapore and Hong Kong, would probably be the next most mature market, and organisations are grappling with mobility and the data loss implications of mobility. But certainly Australia and New Zealand lead the way in terms of deployment of these types of technologies.
And I imagine Accellion can service small to medium-sized enterprises and all the way up to large multinationals.
Absolutely. We scale, we have over 1,400 organisations as customers, in excess of 9 million users, and those very much do scale from 5-user, very small businesses, up to organisations with tens of thousands of users. We signed a very large telco in the US at the end of last year. They've deployed an initial 30,000 users and will scale to 90,000 users during the course of this year. So we scale very, very well.
Great. Kieran, thanks very much for coming on, and all the very best to Accellion. It sounds like a great business model.
Thanks, Chris. Pleasure.